The web has thousands of applications with REST APIs, and Scribe's REST connector lets you connect to them quickly without building your own connector. I'll show you how to do that in this video, but first a bit of background. Until recently, there was no standard way to describe a REST API, and therefore no standard way to connect to one. But that has changed with an emerging standard called the Open API Specification that defines a REST API in a way that a machine can understand. Scribe's REST connector reads this specification to understand how to interact with the REST API. Now, you might wonder where to get the Open API specification for an application you're working with. And there are three possibilities. The application developer may provide it. In fact, we do this at Scribe with the API for our request reply maps. Or you might get it from an API management platform your company uses to provide access to legacy applications. Or you can write your own specification for an existing API. In this video, I'll use the Open Movie Database as an example. When I pass in a movie name, it sends back a plot summary, the list of actors, and the release date, among some other things. Now let's see how to use the connector in Scribe Online. The Scribe Online marketplace has dozens of connectors to common applications in many categories like CRM, ERP, marketing automation, and databases. You can combine any number of them together in an integration. I'll scroll down to find the REST connector and install it. Now let's create a new REST connection. To create a connection with the REST connector, I'll fill in these fields. First, the URI of the REST API. Then the Open API specification, which can be a reference to URL, but in this case, I'll paste it in. On the Authorization tab, I have several options for authentication type. The Open Movie Database uses an API key, so I'll select that. The key belongs in the header. And I'll put the field name and value here. Now I'll use the connection in a map to get information from the Open Movie Database and write it to a text file. I'll start with a query block and choose the get entity. Now I know that this connection requires a filter, so I'm going to add a filter on my connection here on my query. And I know that this one indicates the type of information that I want to get back, which is going to be JSON. I need a second filter to indicate the title of the movie that I'm looking up here. So I'll add a title. I'm a Star Wars fan, so I'm going to look up information on The Empire Strikes Back in the Open Movie Database. I'm going to take the information from the Open Movie Database and put it in a text file, like I said. So I'm going to do a little bit of field mapping here. Now I'll run the map, and you see that it completed successfully. And here is the text file the map created. As we saw earlier, we went out to the Open Movie Database and looked up The Empire Strikes Back. And it came back with the date that the movie came out, June 20th, 1980, and a summary of the plot. So in this video, we saw how to install the REST connector in Scribe Online, how to use it to create a connection, and how to use that connection in a map. Thanks for watching.